sacred funeral ceremony. Officiating our service today is Rabbi Karen Kadar, along with Rabbi Jonathan Hecht and Cantor Jennifer Frost.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rabbi Jonathan Hecht. It is wonderful to be here with my colleagues, Rabbi Kadar and Cantor Frost, as we come together with all of you to bring comfort to Sandy's family and to pay tribute to this wonderful woman who had such an impact on so many people's lives. Mourning is the price we pay for having the courage to love others. Even in grief, we know that the wonder of human life is too complex and too magnificent to be memorialized in endless pain. The gifts of spirit our loved ones gave us can never be measured or weighed, nor can they be lost or even tarnished by time. Even in our darkest hours, we know that the light and warmth that Sandy brought to us will always be with us, bringing us comfort and courage, and in the fullness of time, healing and peace.
We're so sorry for your loss, and it's kind of hard to believe that we're here right now. And you have an enormous community that is here surrounding you, filled right now with memories. Aren't you remembering all kinds of things that are flooding in these memories? And this is what I like to say is a moment where we pay respects to BJBE loyalty and royalty, because she was loyal to this congregation and your family embedded so strongly here. So we begin, as we always do, with the Psalms. Esa einai el harim me'ayin yavo Ezri. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. My help comes from God, who is the maker of heaven and earth. God would not let your foot give way. Your protector will not sleep. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, your protection at your right hand.
Esa einai el harim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Hine lo yanum velo yishan, shomer Yisrael. Hine lo yanum velo yishan, shomer Yisrael. Esa einai el harim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh שמים וארץ. עזרי מעם אדוני עושה שמים וארץ.
The 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The end of this psalm is what gives me most comfort. As we sit in the valley of shadows, it's goodness and mercy that follow us all the days of our life. And though you're deep in mourning right now, and the loss is profound and always will be, she would want me to tell you that goodness and love will follow you all the days of your life.
Adonai roi lo achsar bino deshayar bitzeini al mei menuchot yanaleini nafshi yeshovev yancheini v'magelei tzadak yancheini v'magelei tzadak leman shemo gam ki elech Magait al mavet lo irara ki ata imadi shivetecha umishanetecha heima yanachamuni Taroch lefanai shulchan neged zorai dishanta vashemen roshi kosi revaya Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai v'shavati beveit Adonai leorech Yamim Adonai roi lo aksar Adonai roi lo aksar
In the rising of the sun and its going down, we will remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember her. In the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, we will remember her. In the rustling of leaves and the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember her. And when you are weary and in need of strength, you will remember her. And when you are sick and lost at heart, we will remember her. When you have joys you yearn to share, you will remember her. As long as we all live, she too shall live, always a part of us, always to be remembered. In the book of Job, it says, Adonai Natan v'Adonai Lakach Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach, which means God has given and God has taken away. Blessed be the name of God. We are an ancient people, well acquainted with grief, well acquainted with the valley of shadows. Death and sorrow are not strangers. And yet, the centuries have taught us this important thing, that a good name endures beyond the grave. And she had a very good name. And that there is strength in faith. And being synagogue goers, you believed that there is strength in faith. But now we say with Job, Adonai Natan, God, you has given us a loved one. She will never be forgotten. For all that was good and enduring in her life, we offer the deepest thanks of our hearts. Adonai Lakach, and God, so suddenly you have taken away. So we pray for strength and turn our broken hearts into an altar of trust so that we can say, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach, blessed be the name of God now and forever. It always does honor when loved ones stand up to offer a few words. I'd like to invite Greg to the bima. Julie, you want to come too? Greg and Julie.
In the Jewish tradition, when someone passes, there's a common phrase, may their memory be a blessing. This was especially true with my mom. I know there are countless memories that she made with so many people. Just looking around the room right now confirms it. I'm looking forward to sharing some of those stories and memories with all of you over the next few days. But for now, I'd like to start by sharing a few memories of my own. So it only seems fitting to start with a memory about her memory. And as my mom got older, she became a little bit more forgetful. And my dad always used to say that people remember what they're interested in. And that was very true with my mom. So while she couldn't always remember what she did the day before, here are a few of the things that she did remember. She remembered that my first grade teacher never gave me the prize it used to take home for good behavior, even when I behaved. And she remembered being frustrated with my third grade teacher for putting me in a low reading group, and then she couldn't get mad at me when I was bored and caused some trouble. She remembered all the gossip and drama of junior high and high school. In fact, she wanted to know all the details. She used to ask me all these questions, and I didn't feel comfortable answering. So I made her a deal. I would say, you could write these questions down 10, 15, 20 years from now. You can ask me, I'll answer anything. And time went by, and she remembered all these questions. But by then, I didn't even remember the answers anymore. And finally, my mom always remembered to wake up on time for her weekly beauty parlor appointment. Now, that might not seem like such a big deal just to wake up on time for that, but for those of you who knew my mom, she had some unique sleeping habits, often staying up to all hours of the night and catching up on her sleep the next day. Well, I remember experiencing that as a kid, but what I didn't realize is that the story I'm about to share is when my dad thinks that habit actually started. So I'm going to take you all the way back to around 1982. I had gotten in television as a gift. For those of you not aware, that was a game console. It kind of came after Atari and before Nintendo. And one of the games we had was called Lock and Chase, which was really their version of Pac-Man. And I remember catching my mom. She would sneak downstairs after I went to bed and play Lock and Chase all night long. I don't remember the exact details. I was a pretty little kid, but I remember that I would start to notice that I would play and then I'd come back another time and the game I was playing wasn't in the console. Instead, it was Lock and Chase. And then one night, I was playing till really late, woke up early the next day to keep playing, and again, Lock and Chase was there. So finally, she admitted her addiction to us. But as much as her sleeping habits were something that we joked about, my mom was really a person of action. She liked to do a lot of things, and she was a really busy person. One of the things that she always liked to do was to fix things. She was really known as a fixer, not to fix something that was broken, but to fix an issue that she could help with, whether it was big or small. When I was a kid, most of the issues were really more small, right? I was bored. I wanted to play something with her. We would play cards. We would play upwards. She would even shoot baskets with me in the driveway. As I got a little older, went to college, she would help me with my laundry, or she would even buy me some new clothes when I wanted one. That was an easy fix, right? Because she loved to go shopping. But one time, she really showed me how much she truly would do anything for me. I went to college at the University of Illinois in Champaign, and for a couple of years, I had a moving business. And we would move kids from the North Shore, their stuff, to and from school using U-Hauls. So one day, the day before the big move, we went to U-Haul to pick up the large truck that we had ordered. But instead of having one large truck, they didn't have it. Instead, they only had 2 medium trucks for us. There was no cell phones those days. I had no way to get somebody else to help me. So my mom came to the rescue, and she drove that truck for me, clearly out of her comfort zone. But my mom wasn't just nice to me and her family. She was nice to everyone. A great example of this was over 30 years ago, back in the 90s. She used to play bridge every week, and one day after leaving bridge, she noticed an elderly lady who was playing didn't walk to her car. Instead, she was standing outside waiting for a taxi. And that didn't sit well with my mom, so she said, "I'll drive you home." And she did. Well, ironically, about a year later, I started dating Marci. And one thing led to another. We found out that that elderly lady that she drove home was actually Marci's grandmother. It's even more ironically, when Marci's grandmother told her parents the story, her parents got mad at her for going in the car with a stranger. But my mom driving Marci's grandma, that's a great example of the kind of person that she was. She liked to do special things, right? And so whether that was driving somebody who needed a ride, or that was planning a themed party for a milestone birthday, a great family tradition of ours, or going above and beyond for charity with all the road races that she helped plan, or an extravagant games night for the temple. She even would want to always get special gifts or experiences, something that people would never spend money on for themselves. But she wasn't just about gifts or events. She could make you feel special just by talking to her. Right? My mom truly was a people person. She had the gift of gab. She could talk to everyone and anyone about everything and anything. And she could always make a connection. She was great welcoming new people, always including them with her friends. She was quick with a compliment, and she had a great sense of humor. I feel so lucky and special to be her son, and I know how proud she was of me and Marci and our kids. And her influence on us is a big part of how we raised our family and how I live my life today. I could share more stories about her for hours. I'm just truly thankful for the time that I had. And I'm so proud to be her son. Just wish that we didn't lose her so fast or so soon. Mom, I will miss you and love you forever.
When I was trying to decide if I could hold myself together enough to do this, I thought, what would my mom want? And my immediate next thought was, it was never about her. She was always looking out for everyone else. But she did like to say how proud she was of me, so I wanted to give her one more occasion to do that. My mom was always about others. Sometimes I would notice her face at one of my kids' performances, or even sitting around the table in Florida when we were playing a game. She wouldn't be looking at the stage or looking at the cards. She would be looking down the row of seats at us, or around the table at us, taking in how everyone else was feeling. She was having fun herself, sure, but the deeper part of her joy was watching us, looking at our smiles, experiencing our laughter. My mom wanted to show up for everything. It was never a question, it was a given. Most of you probably know that my hobby is performing in theater. When I was 11, I got the role of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz in the Northbrook Children's Theater. It was a very big deal. It was my first big break. We even named our dog Toto, who we got after the show. When it was time for the performances, I remember my mom organizing all the family and her friends to get tickets. And we had like 3 full rows in the theater that were all there for me. Well, there for my mom. We had a little party afterwards with a Wizard of Oz cake. Then, I remember auditioning for the next show at the Northbrook Children's Theater. Right after my audition, when I came up to the table where the director was sitting, I caught a glimpse of my audition card on the table, and I saw the notes the director had written about me. There were 3 phases on the card. Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Good reader. Sells tickets. When I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, I kept doing theater and my mom kept showing up. In my late 20s, I was in a production of Guys and Dolls, and I told my mom, this is going to be a good one. She organized 2 vans of people from Chicago, filled with friends and relatives, to see the show in Cincinnati. One time, my dog was in a theater production in Cincinnati. My dog, named Tenor, was in the musical Annie. For those who don't know Annie, the main character is a girl who escapes from the orphanage, and she finds a stray dog and she keeps it throughout the show. So a lot of productions of Annie will use a real dog to be in those scenes. Keep in mind, I was not in this show. My kids were not in this show. And my family drove 5 hours from Chicago to see my dog in a community theater production. This time, I got to sit in the audience with them, and like my mom, look down the row in the theater, seeing my family smiling and laughing. By the way, the dog's name in the show, the character that my dog played, is Sandy. My mom gave great advice, and she was always honest. She was very insightful about people. I want to share the best advice she ever gave me that I still use today. When I was in elementary school, if I was dealing with a difficult person, like there was a bully or a mean girl in school, my mom said, some people are just not happy inside. Maybe they're having a hard time at home, like their parents are fighting, or maybe they're insecure, so they're putting down other people to feel better about themselves. I use this and share this all the time, even at work. Like if one of my employees gets an email rant for somebody who's really critical. It doesn't make it right when people behave like that, but it helps you take it a little less personally and maybe even have some empathy. I remember a work conference call recently where one of my members was lashing out and insulting all these people, and it was really tense and really draining. And when they hung up from the call, I said to my board member, "Some people are just not happy inside." One of my mom's superpowers was empathy. My mom was also really good at complimenting people. I would often get notes from my mom after a show or in a letter in college, ending with, "We are so proud of you." Even though I knew that and I heard it often, every time it meant something to me. My mom helped build my confidence. She was always so complimentary of my husband Hal, my kids Wendy and Brett, my brother Greg, sister-in-law Marci, and my nieces Lexie, Monica, and Ellie. She would always express how proud she was of her family, that she had a great family. She said it every time we talked on the phone. My mom was the epitome of a good person. She did not have a bad bone in her body. She was so pure in that way. She made people feel comfortable, and she got her fulfillment from helping others. The only time I saw a little mean streak come out was if someone she loved was not being treated well. She was a great judge of character. She prioritized relationships. They were the main thing, almost the only thing that her life was about. Since all this happened a few weeks ago, I've tried to look through the lens of what would my mom want? What would my mom do? I made it a point to thank the nurses and hospice people every time they left the room, because that's what she would want, and they were wonderful to her. I gave an extra nice tip to her manicurist and hairdresser and the shampoo lady and said, "This is from my mom." I even decided to treat myself to a nicer pair of shoes this weekend because I think she would have liked that. On behalf of my mom, I want to thank you all for being here, for all the support you've given us these past few weeks, and for your love and friendship to her. I've committed to myself to keep that lens. What would my mom want? What would my mom do? I think it will help me continue to be a better person. I encourage you to do the same.
Shelly, you can't always say that we parents are known and understood by our children, but you and Sandy can say that. You really knew who your mother was, and I don't know if the two of you were noticing, overwhelmed with the emotion, but everybody in the congregation, everything you said were nodding their head. Yeah, that's the Sandy we knew too. Shelly and Julie, Hal, Greg, Marci, Eunice, Lexie, Wendy, Monica, Brett, Eliana. You had a tribe, and it's only going to grow and get bigger and bigger. A tribe of beautiful people, a tribe of good people. Eunice, your parents were Lillian and William, and they were from Chicago, which is not a common story here. Normally they would be from the old country. But yours was a good family, and you and I sat next to each other yesterday, and you kept saying, she was a good sister. She was a good sister 2 years and 10 months apart. Okay, there was that time she cut the hair on my beautiful doll, but I forgave her. She was a good sister. And I didn't hear that story about Marci's grandmother. That's amazing. And I pair that with the story of, Shelly, how your families were loosely connected. Your fathers, you think, went to the same high school. There was this orb that kind of brought all of you together. You and Sandy met in high school, but she was dating somebody else. You became reacquainted in college, down in Champaign, asked her to dance, shot baskets. I asked that twice. You mean baskets at basketball? You said, yeah, we shot baskets. I tried to get a couple of details out of you about how those were. You said, yeah, I gave her my pin. I wanted to know, was it love at first sight? What was it like? What did you love about her? What did she love about you? But Sandy was the one with the details. She was the storyteller. You just lived those stories by her side. And I'm sorry that I never asked her those details. I'm sure you kids know them. Tell them over and over again. We know how much she loved you, how devoted she was to you, how you two were partners, and in your strong, quiet, laughing way, were models to your children on what a good marriage could look like. You were babies. She was 21, and the day after you were married, you were 23, 58 years. Do you all know that the wedding almost didn't happen? He even told this story kind of as a matter of fact. Shelly was in the National Guard, and they were training, and you remember back in the days there was no real way to communicate except for telegrams, and you still have that telegram, I hear. He wasn't at the rehearsal dinner. Ian stood in for the rehearsal dinner. He got out on Saturday, and they got married on Tuesday. And the kids, the grandchildren, said, why on Tuesday? And he said, well, you know, Saturday wasn't available. Thank God Saturday wasn't available, because you wouldn't have been there. And as we all know, it was very common to get married on a Tuesday, because in the Torah, it says that after each day of creation, it was very good. It was good. It was good. And on Tuesday, it says it twice. And so Jews like to get married on a Tuesday because in the days of creation, twice ki tov. It was very good. Sandy was a very bright woman. She was smart. She taught 7th grade math, which means she was also brave. She did computer programming, and where she did student teacher, I just met that teacher here. She did computer programming in the business. She had Julie and Greg. She started her own business. I remember Novelty Notes. You, of course, all remember Novelty Notes, and her license plate said, invite. They like to say in the family, well, she never really made money, but she made a lot of happiness. And she always volunteered on the highest level. Some of us volunteer by baking brownies, which is good. Keep baking those brownies. We like it when Sisterhood bakes for all of us. But she would be in the leadership council of no matter what it was that she volunteered at. She was a leader. You mentioned this epic treasure hunt, which I guess was before my time. I don't remember it. A small group of people would get together, and they would plan this treasure hunt. You're nodding, you all know about this, all over the city. And the clues were very complex. Did you actually tell me once it was in a jail and a police station? And she would make these cold calls. You in the business make cold calls. Well, hers were really a cold call. You're gonna get a bunch of people coming into the police station. It's okay, it's for charity. Sid's research at Children's Memorial. Elaborate, creative. And then we all know about game night at BJBE. I asked Shelly who was in that original group. recollection was, and I'm sure I'm not going to remember everybody or know everybody, but Kravitsky, Melnick, Willis, Levin, Schechter, Diane, you said you weren't in that original group. You had this amazing game night. This was before my time. Game night has morphed, games galore. But in the old building, in each room, there was a different game. Family Feud, Name That Tune, Beat the Clock, Let's Make a Deal you did all together. It sounded like so much fun. And then, of course, there's the Hanukkah Boutique. And absolutely, of course, Sisterhood President. Because, and we sit here among many people who were Sisterhood President at the moment, but she brought stability and organization. And as her children said over and over again, she was a people person, and that served her well. Greg and Julie, you lived in what, Julie, you called a very peaceful home. It's not like that everywhere. You can't take that for granted. We use the words privilege these days in a derogatory way, but you were privileged in the best of way. You grew up in safety and love, and not everyone can say that. And it was fun and filled with laughter. I had such a good time at your house because I felt like I had a little window into what it must have been like when the family all got together. You laughed and talked on top of one another and told stories and told all the details about the games, and I kept thinking, oh, I hate games. I can't believe you all played games because I don't like rules. I'm sure that's going to come as a surprise to you. But she was really good at it, and she was very competitive, cards, games. And she loved those grandchildren. You already said, road trip to Cincinnati, here, shows, tennis tournaments, plays, dance, and then there were special sleepovers, which you called Grammie days. And because she didn't sleep at night, if she got up in the morning to make you those pancakes, you better appreciate them, because she let you know, I got up to make you your pancakes. There was Grammie time. You all set the clocks a little bit different so that she would make it. And on her 70th birthday, there were the Grammie Awards. This was so great. You have a little book, and on the front of it is a picture of Sandy with a crown. How perfect. Because as I see her, she was really the queen of your world. You picked her up in a limo. You pretended to go back to Cincinnati, but there you were. And she won every award. Best makeup, best dress, best hair. I know we don't call it beauty parlors anymore, but we have to call it a beauty parlor. And then you kids told me about her computer skills as she got a little bit older, how you had to be on the phone with her for like 45 minutes because she would change her home screen randomly, or she'd post on Instagram a picture of her feet, and you'd say, Grammie, we have to get that off Instagram. And she would say, but I don't have Instagram. But Grammie, you do. We know she loved to shop. I love to shop. But shopping was a project for her. First, you tested, like the vacuum cleaner. You went and you tried this vacuum cleaner, then you went to another store and you tried that vacuum cleaner. And then you researched. In those days, you went to the library for consumer reports. After a while, Shelly, you got them delivered to your home. And then my guess is you price checked. And then you better have liked the vacuum cleaner or the coffee maker that she ended up getting you. And she'd say to Shelly, I'm just going to go and pick up something for the kids. Something turned out to be bags and bags of clothes. And I have to say, right now, looking at all of you, she loved you. Because she loved people. We threw around the word gossip yesterday, but in my world, gossip is malicious. She liked stories. She wanted to know the detail of every story, every boyfriend, every kid you went out, every instant in every story. And you would all sit around. My guess is I wasn't involved. And you would tell the stories of people's lives. Because Sandy knew that to get into the details of the story was to really know the person. And she knew you, just as you knew her. She was empathetic. She knew your joys, your tears. She was inclusive, bringing Marci's mother into the clan. She could make a connection. And I love that life lesson she gave you. If people are mean, it's because they're not happy inside. I have to tell you, she's absolutely right. And don't let anyone stand off to the side alone. Say, hey, I'll give you a ride, or introduce you to my people. And don't just think of something positive and nice to say, but say it out loud. And I want to reiterate that because we don't do that enough, do we? And you know that Sandy was classy and elegant and kind and generous. So I asked for the Shabbat candles to be brought to the bima right now. We went to Israel together. It was a great trip. I know all the trips were great trips, but this was a really great trip. We had so much fun. And not too soon before, Joanne Katz suddenly died, which was such a tragedy and hard thing for all of us. And we were in Jerusalem in the Mamilla Mall, and I said to Sandy, hey, you know, the candlesticks that we have for the temple are kind of old. I don't know, you might remember where they were. There are those brass candlesticks that you all used to use. I don't remember or knew the story about them. I said, but let's buy candlesticks. We'll make it in memory of Joanne, and actually her name is on the base of the sticks. And she said, yeah. So we went into the store, and we went into a Yemenite store, and we bought the candlesticks and a big Kiddush cup and 2 little Kiddush cups. We went shopping, and it was fun. And what we bought was beautiful, because she knew how to buy beautiful things. And right now, in the moment, these Shabbat candlesticks are not lit, because there's a little darkness that has followed you into your lives right now. But they will be again. On Friday night, Rabbi will be up here, and he'll light the candles. And every time we see them, we'll not only remember Joanne, but we'll remember Sandy and Shelly, and all of you who bring so much light to this world. Because that's really what it's about. Bringing kindness and laughter and love to this world that sometimes can be so dark. And that she knew how to do. May her memory be for a blessing. Please rise.
El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamaromim Hamsev Nechuna Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanvei HaShechina Im Kedoshim Utehorim Kezohar Harakim Azirim Et Nishmat Shbrin Sabat William Belillian Shalacha Leolama Ba'ala Rachamim Yastirei HaBeseter Kanafav Leolamim Bitzuror HaChaim Nishmata Adonai נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen.
Compassionate God, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence for Sandy. She has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence and comfort in the shadow of your wings. Let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, as we all say.
Amen.
Please be seated.
Friends, this concludes our service here at the synagogue. Interment will take place immediately at the family plot at Shalom Memorial Park, just down the road here in Arlington Heights. Upon return from the cemetery, the family will be sitting Shiva at the home of Greg and Marci Cohen, 119 Fairview Avenue, just across the street here in Deerfield. That information is available on the service folder received on the way in. If you're watching this online, that information is available on the funeral home website. For those who wish to join the family in procession to the cemetery, we'll be forming just outside in the synagogue parking lot. While in procession, please make sure your bright lights and hazard lights are on at all times. For a measure of safety, please make sure you obtain an orange funeral safety sticker, which can be placed on the inside portion of your windshield on your passenger side, along with a magnetic flag that can be placed on the rooftop portion of your vehicle. Please drive as close to the car in front of you as safety permits. We want to avoid any large gaps while in procession. Please use your horn liberally, especially while we go through the intersections. Please avoid talking on any cellular phone while en route to the cemetery. Memorial contributions in Sandy's memory can be made to Breakthrough T1D or to the Jewish United Fund. That information is on those same places, the service folder we received on the way in and on the funeral home website as well. The following individuals have been honored to serve as pallbearers. When I call your names, if you could please rise and stand next to Sandy's casket. Hal Theobald, Marci Cohen, Lexie Cohen, Monica Cohen, Eliana Cohen, Wendy Woffington, and Brett Woffington. And friends, at this time, if I'd ask everyone to please rise as we escort the casket, the clergy, and the family from the synagogue.